the man who put his knee on George Floyd's neck learnt all about excited delirium.
Truth-telling is very important to me as well. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I'd say so, but definitely more now. And you feel a bit like King Canute these days because a disinterested truth seems to be pervading the media in so many ways. And in fact, season 2 of Things Fell Apart is very much about that. It's about the different ways that people lie. So the right lie in these big baroque sort of balls out ways, these big mythological lies about, Pizzagate or whatever. And then the left, sort of journalist activists on the left, I think lie in slightly more subtle, different ways. But it's all a kind of form of lying. And by that, I mean, I suppose, I've seen this happen. This isn't just me imagining it. That if you're an activist left-wing journalist and you're telling a story about a heroic woman, for instance, and then you see that there's aspects about this woman that isn't quite so heroic, I've noticed them filtering that stuff out, flattening the moral complexity because they want to have a more simplistic ideological story, which is a different kind of lying, but it's still a kind of lying.
And how do you find your stories? Are you a sort of 3 a.m. YouTube rabbit holer?
Not 3 a.m. I always start work around 6 a.m., but I always finish around 3 p.m. And then I won't do any more work. But yeah, I go down a lot of rabbit holes. I listen to a lot of academic books and boring audiobooks and read a lot of academic papers. And I'm just sort of looking for the little gleam of a jewel in the mud. Just something where you just think, I didn't expect that. Or I don't know what that means, those words. Excited delirium. Episode 1 of season 2 of Things Fell Apart is about this. Will I very quickly recount it?
Please do, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So Miami in the 1980s, 32 women are found dead in mysterious circumstances. They're all black sex workers. They've all got low levels of cocaine in their system, and their bodies are all in very similar positions, and they're all naked from the waist down. But nobody could figure out the cause of death. There was no obvious cause of death. So the deputy chief medical examiner announced that he'd solved the mystery, and these women had all spontaneously dropped dead as a result of a combination of cocaine and sex. And he gave it a name, excited delirium. And he said, this is how women die. And men just go berserk. They rip off their clothes if they take too much cocaine, go running through traffic, and then they spontaneously drop dead. Anyway, it turned out that it was a serial killer. Like, of course it was. But that didn't daunt him. He went around continuing to postulate his theory of excited delirium. It gets taught in police training schools. The man who put his knee on George Floyd's neck learnt all about excited delirium, and that you had to restrain them or else they're going to be a danger to themselves and a danger to other people. As they were standing around George Floyd's body, they talked about excited delirium, this entirely fictitious, made-up diagnosis that proliferated in really powerful, important places, courtrooms, police training, and so on. Anyway, I discovered that because I was listening to a very good audiobook called His Name is George Floyd. And there was just a very brief mention of excited delirium. And I was hiking upstate. And I just thought, And I didn't really explain what it was in the book, but I went down a rabbit hole. And that's how I found that story that I just told you.
Fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. Do you ever worry that you're becoming close to believing in a conspiracy in the way that you report conspiracy theories? Because sometimes it can feel like that when you're disappearing down a rabbit hole, that you want to see this thing.
Yes, but I don't see it as a bad thing. I think going back to what I said before about how non-fiction writers should have all the ambition of novelists, I think, if you're reading a novel, you kind of want the protagonist to go through a big life change. And so if I'm investigating something, in my book Them, I was trying to sneak into this powerful club called the Bilderberg Group, and I got chased away by men in dark glasses, and a car chase ensued, and I got really paranoid that the Bilderberg Group were following me everywhere. And eventually I realised that this paranoia was a gift, because what great writing this would make. So I think if you can really succumb to a conspiracy theory, fall down the rabbit hole, change, see the world in a completely new way, but also have the ability to come back out of it with
Yes.
your rationality back, then that's a gift for this kind of writing.
That's an amazing way of expressing it. Thanks for tuning in. And if you found this video enjoyable, be sure to check out the full episode on your preferred podcast platform. And make sure you're following How to Fail on social media for additional content and updates.